I guess I'm perfectly audible and visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Perfect. So, any questions from yesterday's class before we start today's sessions? Any questions from the entire retention analytics space? I guess you are currently in a position to at least understand the concept that how retention analytics are applied in the industry. How means what kind of solution framework, what kind of methodology you are going to use. I haven't walked you through how to apply the algorithms which I have kept for today's class. Intentionally, I have given you some breathing space in the first two class so that you can get yourself accustomed with how analytics works, at least theoretically, and then slowly I shall handhold you in the realm of mathematics. So if you don't have any questions, let me start with this note that we will quickly do a mathematical exercise today on the chart analytics. Folks, please try to be in the class. If you want to be, please try to be within the time schedule. It becomes difficult for me to accommodate. These all should have taken place before 12. Akriti, if you are the seer of this class, so please.
Yes, sir. So actually, people have connectivity issues sometimes, so they get like 1 or 2 minutes
Okay,
of the time. So
okay,
I'm really sorry about it.
no worries. That's fine. Okay, is my screen visible or not?
Not
Over
yet,
time,
sir.
not yet. Okay. I guess it's visible now.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Perfect, perfect. So again, I have kept a very simple data set, created it, and so that you can understand the concept. The objective here is that uh, perhaps you haven't got any exposure beforehand that how logistic regressions are used, especially in the realm of, especially in the subject area of churn analytics. So keeping churn analytics in mind, this dataset has been created. So I have taken only 4 variables and the operations will remain same. Whether it is 4 or 400 variables, I have kept a sample size of 18. Again, whether it is 18 or 1800 or 18,000 or 18 lakhs, 18 million, operations will remain the same. And I again don't want you to focus on the operations from a software perspective because software I am using SPSS so that folks who don't have a programming background can better appreciate this. I always say to the students what matters really the most is to understand the underlying philosophy, not where I'm clicking, how the results are getting generated. Because I have seen in my professional life, in my student life, so many softwares came and they had a kind of short shelf life. They died a natural death when a better software with a better user interface, or even the advent of open source. You must be all knowing with the advent of open source, all these licensed software spaces says are having a tough time, are having a tough time even to survive. So from that perspective, I don't recommend you to focus on where I'm clicking. Rather, you should focus on what I'm generating, how I'm interpreting, and then you can always try your hand in any other software or language you feel it is comfortable. Okay, so with that background, and feel free to stop me if you are not understanding any part, though I shall be extremely slow and intentionally have chosen spaces because it is extremely easy to understand. So people who have a kind of phobia for programming, spaces will make your life easy. Otherwise, those who are hands-on with programming, hands-on with coding, try Python, try R. Life is so cool, and it doesn't require any specialized skills. It's so easy. Okay. So I have taken 4 variables here. The first variable, always remember for logistic regression, especially for any technique, when you are doing a kind of churn analytics, the dependent variable has to be in nominal scale. Why? Why it has to be? Because for the simple reason that it has got 2 categories, right? Either the customer has left or the customer is with you, right? There cannot be a third category. Even if there is a third category, but it's categorical. The most important thing, it's not a kind of ratio scale. But there is no third category here. It's churned or not churned, as simple as that. So that's a kind of nominal variable always. Be we run a kind of logistic regression, be we run a decision tree, random forest, support vector machine, any classification tool, discriminant analysis, any classification tool we apply for churn analytics, the churn variable has to be a categorical variable. Why? Because customers have churned or not churned. That's what, or customer has left or not left. That's what is your interest. And we have got 3 independent variables or factors I have considered. And as I mentioned, these 3 can be 30. That doesn't matter. The operations will remain the same. What factors I have chosen? Frequency of purchase in a year. It's a kind of scale variable. Scale means, you all know what is a scale variable. Scale means when you are, I'm sure you must have learned in your research methodology classes, like interval variable, interval scale and ratio scale. So interval scale and ratio scale, for all practical purpose, the operations are more or less the same. The methodologies that are applied on interval or ratio scale are more or less same, and that's why they have been combined within the measure as scale. So that's why it's a kind of ratio scale. Average purchase by customer in a year, and number of years the customer has been purchasing from the store. So a very small data set we created, like churn, not churn, customer. So what does this 0, 1 mean? If you look here, 0 means customer has left or churned, and 1 means customer has not churned, customer has not left. And here is the data set. It's a customer, and this always remember, the rows represent the samples. Samples means the customer numbers. Customer number 1, customer number 2, like that. And always the columns represent the variables. So what does this represent? So 0 means I mentioned churned or left. So customer 1 who has left, the frequency of his or her purchase was 15. Average purchase is say 24,765, and this customer was with or with the organization for last 3 years. Before I move any further, any question on the data set or the variable? Because unless you are not clear about what data I'm considering for this problem, it would be further difficult for you to understand how I'm applying. Any question as of now?
Clear, sir.
Perfect. Okay. So now before I just click and generate the result, a little bit, couple of minutes, I would like to spend on the theory of logistic regression. Again, I shall try to present it in, again, like a story method, so that every person, even a kind of folks who are from non-mathematical background, non-statistical background, can understand and appreciate. So let's first understand a very critical concept called the odds. Now, this 1 or 2 minutes is fine. Akriti and other folks, 10 minutes is not really fine. Please take care. Okay. So what does the concept of odds means? Odds is a very important or critical concept. So you know the tossing of the coins, you must have done those basics in a kind of business statistics classes, right? The probability of head and probability of tails. So odds are defined as the probability of belonging to one group divided by the probability of belonging to the other group. So odds equals to P by 1 minus P. I hope this is clear. Very, very, very simple. Extremely simple. No rocket science here. In fact, the entire concepts are very simple. This is how I have taken the data. That's fine. Odds concept is clear. This is what the data I have taken. There is the concept of log likelihood. So what is important here? If you just focus on the last line, a prediction likelihood of 1 or a perfect model has a corresponding -2 log likelihood of 0. So we will see whether our model value is coming to 0 or not. That part we will check. And now with this knowledge, let's try to run it and let's see how the results look like, how to interpret. As I mentioned, the focus shouldn't be on where I'm clicking, because that doesn't matter and that will keep changing. What really matters is that the interpretation, the application. So for the time being, let's keep it very simple and let me run it. So this is what the output looks like, and let's see how we can interpret the output. So exactly is the output. You have got a -2 log likelihood of 0.000. So that's a kind of, good thing. Let me show it to you here also. So I've got an adjusted R-square of 59%. Just give me 1 minute. Let me see if I can bring some more results into the output. Standardized, unstandardized also I can keep. This one, these two I shall bring at a later stage. This is the residuals. Regression plots, iteration history, Houseman Lem's goodness of fit. I can also include this part. This is something very critical for logistics. Okay. And let me rerun it. So here you are getting, once I click on the Houseman limb, so it came the -2 log likelihood is 0.000. So that means it is very close to 0. Our model is a pretty good fit. Now let's come back and understand the coefficients. So this is the kind of table I have got. Now you might have seen that the variables are not significant, right? The significant value of the Waltz test. What is that? Yeah. This might not be very good value you are getting, but that's fine. That's fine in the sense we have taken a very small sample size. We have taken a sample size of only 18. If you are familiar with regression, the rule of thumb is that for every variable you should take how many variables, how many samples, at least or minimum kind of 10. So yeah, with large sample size, the probability of getting all the variables significant increases. So that is not here currently, which is no big deal though. So with that, let's come to the result. So what is the result we have got? We have got a constant. 1 minute. Let me again rerun it with a reset. And this will also help you to better follow that what I am doing here. Let me reset the whole thing. So dependent I am taking as the nominal variable, and this is the covariates or the independent variables. So this is what I'm getting, right? So I'm getting a constant of -416.973, and these are all the coefficients. Though I'm sure you must have learned in the regression, what is a regression equation? Y equals to a plus b1 x1 is the constant, right? So that's same thing here. Minus 416.973 is the constant here. So what we are doing is that for every coefficient that we are having, we have to come with a score, right? So for example, if we take the first observation, what is the first observation? The frequency is 15, average purchase is 24765, years is 3. Now what I'm doing here is that, because I have to come with a score of every observation, and especially that is important for the new observations. Why new observations? Because this data set you're already having, right? For the new observations only, you are supposed to predict, correct? So we'll show you how to predict, but let's understand how we can do it with the first row. So the first row is 15 24765, average purchase, and years is 3. So we have, this is the coefficient, sorry, this is the constant minus 416.973. You can see here, this is the constant. Then this is the kind of coefficient of frequency, 9.478. So 9.478 into 15, where is the 15 coming from? Here is the 15, right, frequency. And then we have got 0.006 is the coefficient of average purchase, and years is minus 5.733. So if you look here, 0.006 and minus, this is a 24765 and minus 0.733. So for the first observation, we are getting a score of minus 133.68. So that's how you can score. Of course, the software will do it for you. I'm just intentionally writing it in English so that you can understand how things actually happen. Now what happens? You have to put it in that formula. Formula is that how to figure out. This score indicates that the log of the odds of being disloyal or the customer leaving in value 1. So this is the log of the odds. Now to convert this into a probability, you have to do it P equals to E to the power E minus 133, that was score, divided by 1 plus E minus this E to the power this score, and which comes to 0. So we can figure out that with this score, you are getting it 0. Now, I'm also going to show these things. You need not do it all manually. I'm just showing you how it is being done manually, or you can to clarify the concept. But you can easily get these things done by software. If you see here, simple, the probabilities and the group membership. What is the probability means? Probability means the probability of a customer falling into a group. In which group? In the group where it has been predicted. So there are only two groups, right? 0 and 1. So let's see how the software predicts. So if you look here, you will see that the first customer, this is the probability of group, and this is the predicted probability. So the probability is high that the first customer falls into group O. So that's how you can see that our model is pretty good, right? All the zeros are falling into zeros, and all the ones, that means customers have left, the model is rightly predicting into customer has left. Now, so this is about all the tests that you already had. Now suppose a new customer comes. There comes the test. A new customer comes, and then the new customer wants to figure out in which particular group will this new customer fall, right? Say, let me give any number. Say frequency could be, say 20, for example. And say the average purchase is, say 40,000. Any number, I'm just giving some random numbers. Years can be 5. Okay. So this is a kind of new customer. And I don't know in which particular category, 0 or 1, this customer will fall, right? So what I can do is that I can rerun this model. And this will tell us that the probability is that the customer will fall is 0. So the model is now scoring. This is called the scoring of the model. I'm still finding students want to join, right? 12:20. It's getting difficult for them to understand at this stage because I've already completed, right, explaining one model. Yes. Any questions, guys? And then, you you can do it for any number of new customers. You can do it for thousands, millions of new customers. You can do once your model is ready. So I've just shown you how the model works. You need not do all those. You need not. So if you want to, it's good to know though. I recommend analytics at least should know how the models operate, but the software makes your life very easy. Any questions, guys? You can do it, several things if you want. That's absolutely fine. You can make 5,000, and you can make it 6 years, and you want to see another new customer, for example, where it falls. Sorry, where was integration? Yeah. Here. Yeah. Now this guy is falling into one. Getting it? Because you know why it is one, not churn. I have intentionally made the frequency very high. I actually knew that it was going to be one. Any questions, folks? Any questions? Any questions? Is it clear? Not clear? Any questions? Any questions? Because we have completed a. I shouldn't say it's a big thing. It's actually a child's play. But yeah, the more you will do, the more you'll be conversant. It's actually no big deal. It's no big deal at all. But is the concept clear? That I think in the first class, I can't remember. I think Pulkit or somebody asked me that question: that how can I do it for a new customer? How can I understand that whether the new customer will fall into a 0 or 1? Now I hope you are clear that these are all the new customers. I just punched in this data in front of you. These were not in the training data set. These are all the new customers, and you can score how a new customer, in which particular group a new customer will enter. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any thoughts? Have you understood? Yes, no, at least tell me that thing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very nice, very nice. So you practice it, it's no big deal. You can all create the data set by yourself. All the student, student license, or what do they call, the free versions are all freely available. So no big deal. You can test versions. They're all freely available, or any software. I am not, dedicated to SPSS. Rather, I have chosen it so that it becomes easier for you to understand. Had I started coding, folks who are not from a coding background might shut them off. So that I don't want. So okay. So if this is clear to you, should I assume there are no questions? Should I go to the next one, or there are any questions, any clarification required? Ask me now, because I cannot or shall not come back to logistic regression again. I can do other tools. Last time asking any questions on this part?
No, sir.
Perfect. Great. Great. So now let me come to today's topic. This was actually a kind of application of my last 2 classes where I discussed the churn in the context of retention and how to apply that. Now let's come back to today's topic. Today's topic is, the broad level is customer acquisition. I'm going to take it through 3 steps. The 3 steps are customer segmentation, target marketing, and recommendation engine. Out of the 3 things, I'm going to take only segmentation today. And I shall again discuss a use case first, a little bit of theory, of course, hands-on application, where of course I shall, you need not, it's almost half an hour left. Somebody is still trying to enter. Oh God. Okay. So let's start with segmentation, and let me start with an example first. You understand first that what's the application, how these things have been used, and then we will see how to tweak by yourself the hands-on part. Hands-on, we will do it from a service mode. I shall also walk you through another aspect or dimension called the product. Perhaps you guys might not know what is product or a platform in the context of analytics. I shall also walk you through that concept and give you some examples. This one, I did it. This example that I'm going to share with you right now is what I did for a Southeast Asian bank. I did by myself. This example is created by me only because I accomplished the project. I was there. I was hired for accomplishing this project in that bank. So I was there with my team and then accomplished the project in that bank. And this is the result I shared with the bank. And I thought that, before showing you any theory, let me walk you through the application first. Then how to do it. I think if we cover these two things, 80% of the things will be clear to you. And if certain things are not clear, you can always come back to me. So in that bank, I was given a kind of 1.31 million customers. I have been given their demographic. By the way, I shouldn't start with straight away. You know what is segmentation, right? I assumed you know what is segmentation. Is my assumption fair? You know what is segmentation?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. You know why segmentation is done? Why should I segment?
To know customers, to divide customers on the basis of similar characteristics like age, gender, location, etc.
True. And that is what segmentation is. That is what segmentation is precisely. Why should you segment? That's my question. Why should you? Why a company will spend a few, significant amount of dollars and give it to folks like us who are analytics professional to do the segmentation? Why should a company segment?
I think it is basically to select the target market inside these specific segments.
Not bad, of course. And of course, segmentation is the kind of prerequisite, I would say. Your voice is not coming, and please say your name. I want to hear the names also. Somebody was saying something.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Previous one, what was the name of the gentleman who was saying?
Yes, sir, that was Ambarishan, sir.
Okay. And next gentleman, you are Abhishek, right? Your voice is not very clear though. Can you please be a bit louder?
Okay.
No,
So
you are not audible.
now it is clear.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, maybe some network. Sir, I was saying to save money for marketing thing. We do segmentation.
Would you please repeat? Would you please repeat yourself?
Hello.
No. I'm having a real hard time.
Sir, I was saying to save money for marketing.
Save money, you were saying. Save money, you were saying. But I'm not getting the connect. How can you save money by doing segmentation? I'm not saying you
Sir,
are
I
wrong.
think,
I want to understand the connect. Yeah.
sir, I think it's because the needs of different segments are different.
Precisely. That's the answer. Your name, please?
Ambarishan, sir.
Okay, precisely. That's the answer. So you have to segment because one size doesn't fit all. That's true for anything and everything, and especially for marketing. One size doesn't fit all. You need to understand your customers better. Every segment has a different need and want, as he rightly mentioned, and therefore, that part he has not mentioned. Since they are different, they are significantly different. Not only they are different, since the segments are significantly different, therefore all the marketing stimuli should also be different. What do I mean by marketing stimuli? All the marketing, the 4Ps, 7Ps of product marketing, service marketing that you have learned, the product, price, place, promotion, physical evidence, process, people, they have to be different. You're understanding the implication, the price. Say, for example, if I take the price expected by one segment are significantly different from the other segment. Same for the product, same for the distribution, same for the promotion, the channels. right? They are all different. Rather, they have to be made different to cater to the requirement of every segment. Am I clear with this logic?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's a very fundamental logic. And
Yes,
always ask this question in your thought process, not only for this class or for this part. Why? Why should I? Why should I do it? That once you know, for the simple reason, not for the challenge purpose, but to gain the right clarity. Once you are sure, okay, oh, this is the reason, then you are clear. So let me quickly walk you through this example, then I shall show a hands-on experience. So I was given 1.31 million customers. I was given the demographic and transactional variables. This was a bank, you understand, and banks typically has a kind of legacy of SaaS. So I was given SaaS software. I had to travel there because banks don't, want their data to go outside their premise. So me and my team, we went there and then we accomplished the project by sitting there. That was very important. Why I'm saying these things, because you need to be conversant with the industry requirements also. What kind of security levels, say the bank and the healthcare are the most sensitive toward the security of data. So that also to take into consideration, because not for this segmentation, but once you will do the kind of develop the architecture, those who are from the computer science background, maybe one class I shall devote on developing the architecture. The security layer you have to define, especially when you are doing in the cloud. You have to ensure that it's all secure, right? So for banks and the healthcare sectors, security is of utmost importance. Uh, this is what we have done, statistical model. I shall come to that, but all these things. But let's come to the what I was given first. The variables were age, education, children, work experience, gender, marital status, occupation, typical all kind of demographic variables. It came through. These were the kind of transactional variables like loan amount, EMI, interest rate, tenure, number of contracts. These are the different buckets, the loan buckets, if they default. These were called G1, G2, G3, G4, and G5. The sales channel, interest amount. These were the kind of transactional variables. So what we did first, we did a kind of exploratory data analysis that always never jump for the predictive analytics. Always to fill the data. It's very important. You should do kind of data mining, pattern recognition, develop the charts, graphs to understand how your data look like, to have an understanding of the basic data. Then with all the data we have been given, we created 5 data sets for modeling. One is for the overall customer base, then the 2-wheeler loan, consumer durable loan, personal loan, and cross-sell upsell. And then again, a very important part. By the way, one side note or anecdote I would like to give. Once you will start working in analytics projects, you will understand the significant amount of time goes for data cleaning, data massaging, data sanitization, not the model development. Model development is in fact the easiest part, As I have shown you, right? It takes seconds in this kind of licensed software, or you have to code in Python or R a few more extra minutes. Model development is the easiest part. That's a you might be hearing it for the first time, but take it from me. I'm doing it for years in industry and with complete hands-on. So model development is the easiest part. Data cleaning, data sanitization, data messaging, treating the data, making the data fit so that the data can be crunched by your software, by your languages, whatever is your choice. That is the most critical part. So this is the variable transformation part. Why do I need to transform? Any thoughts? Why do I need to transform? Say, let me tell you what I did, and then I want an answer from you. Say I have converted. Suppose somebody was writing MBA. I'm converting that education in years. Why should I need to do that thing? Why do I need to do that? Why do I need to transform? Suppose somebody is writing graduate, somebody is writing +2, somebody is writing doctorate. I'm transforming them into years. Why? Why should I? Or why should you, for that matter? Any thoughts?
Sir, that may give an impression on how many years that they will be with the bank, like regarding the loan or anything.
No, I don't know at least any such kind of. I cannot assume such things that the more they are educated, that's a hypothesis you are creating precisely. Your hypothesis is that the more they are educated, the more they will be in the bank with the bank. It can be the opposite. The more they are educated, they will understand that this bank is absolutely, not doing some good business. They will leave the bank. Possible. So no, that's not the reason. Definitely not the reason. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? And why I'm asking, I'm not asking for, definitely not for this particular thing. I'm asking this question. From here, I shall come to a greater philosophy of data science. A very important, a very critical philosophy of data science lies in the answer. So yeah, give me an answer. And feel free, even if it is wrong, sky will not fall. That's fine. We all commit mistakes. Even I also committed so many mistakes. It's there. It's the truth of life. But speak it out. Why do I need to transform? Why I'm transforming it into years? Some degrees. Yeah. Anyone?
Is it to know
name,
for how
please.
many years? Oh, I think Akrati is over speaking.
No, your name.
Sorry, sir. Okay, my name is Ambarishan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Is it to know how many years the bank will have to provide the sum?
No, of course not. This has got nothing to do with the banks. Please understand. I think Akriti also gave the answer in the same line. Why do hypothesis? Yes, somebody is there.
So maybe
Your name, please, first.
Akriti.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So maybe to like understand and segregate data in a better manner to get a constant numeric data.
That's the answer. Precisely. Though you are not using the technical term, but that's the answer. Simple English term. Technically, what we say is that whenever there is, and remember this thing, this has got nothing to do with this question's answer. Not, I shouldn't say nothing to do with, but not limited to. That's a better way. My answer is not limited to this question. My answer is taking the cue from here and discussing a very important philosophy of data science. The philosophy here is that somebody is still entering. Priti Kumar, is too early for the next class. Okay, so the idea here is that whenever you have got the categorical variable or the qualitative variable, always try to see if there is any opportunity to convert or to transform the variable to a quantitative variable. That's extremely critical. Why? Because most of the statistical tools, machine learning tools, not the NLP part, I'm not talking about natural language processing, but the statistical machine learning tools can crunch the data, can analyze the data which are quantitative in nature, or the ratio scale or the interval scale in nature. So this is an opportunity for me. Had I got only MSc, MBA, or BA, BSc, BE, BTech, I couldn't take it into my cluster analysis, right? So that's why I'm converting that. So another very important part, I must tell you, since we are discussing variable transformation, rarely we use the variables that have been given to us straight away. They've been given to us. We transform the variable in multiple ways. Say, for example, I was doing a sales forecasting. I shall maybe give that example when I shall discuss sales forecasting part in a much more in-depth way. I was considering the weather variables, right? But should I take straight away the temperature variable, wind speed variable, rainfall variable? Of course not. That doesn't matter. What really matters is that I can create new variables. So variable transformation has got a lot to do with the creation of new variables. Please remember this stuff. You have to always think creatively. How can I create new variables so that the new variable is of a lot of importance to the industry or to the business problem that I'm solving? Say I was doing the kind of, coldest day in the cold months, hottest day in the cold months, hottest day in the hot months, and the coldest day in the hot month. So if I can create such kind of variables from the weather data, And then I can see how my cells change with this kind of scenarios. That would give me some critical insight instead of just taking the raw data. And what I also mentioned in this example, I don't know whether you have noticed or not, no company will give you straight away that data, right? Those are all available. So you have to also think creatively, like what all variables I can take, I can consider beyond the variable given to me, So two things I discussed. There are the three things I discussed here in the last 5 minutes, and three are equally important. First, always try to convert the qualitative into quantitative for a smooth, seamless, high-power analysis. Number two, I discussed try to create the new variables that are of interest to that industry, to that business problem through variables transformation. And the third thing I mentioned is that you have to look beyond. You have to look beyond what that has been given to you. What else? Say another forecasting I'm doing very recently for automotive industry. I'm taking so many variables like, the GDP of the country, the inflation, which have not been given, right? No company will give you these variables. But if you can, suppose, for example, you develop the model given by the companies with a predictable power of 75%. Now this 25% are still unexplained, right? That is the meaning of the 75% accuracy or adjusted score 75%. So 25% are still unexplained. By accommodating or incorporating these variables to your model, if you can explain another 10%, that's a big thing, right? You can improve the accuracy from 75% to 85%. So you have to think such creatively. Again, a very important lecture, I tell you that analytics is all about critical thinking. Statistics, mathematics, software, coding, language are only the tools in your hand. But if you can't think creatively, you cannot use these tools in the best possible way. Please remember this part. That's a very, very, very important philosophy in analytics. And rather, I've seen folks who miss the philosophy, they can just be a kind of Python coder or an R coder. And you know what happens to such folks? All the SAS coders had a really tough time because nowadays industries don't use SAS. So they need to relearn something. They need to update themselves. All those challenges come. But if you are a critical thinker, then no matter what software comes, no matter what language comes, this would all be a kind of cakewalk. You know how to play with the data. Any car you can play. You are not dedicated. Yeah, I only learned to drive in Honda City, and I cannot drive anything else, or I can only drive in this track, nowhere else, nothing like that. You can drive on any car on any track. Yeah. Now the time period has been given. This was the time period I was there. Data preparation. This is a very important part. So this is all the data set creation comes under the data preparation part. These are the tools, techniques. Of course, I'm going to walk you through an example. And this is what my results. I shall walk you through the results, but this is the kind of executive summary that we call technically, because the CEO or the C-suite might not have time to go to the entire thing. They take a snapshot. Okay, so we have got as a result 3 macro segments. Why the names are being given aspirers, I shall tell to you. Hold your patience. But the results are 3 macro segment, aspirers, pragmatic, affluent. First macro segment has got 3 micro segments, like disparate, mature, successful. Second macro has got 2 micro, wise, and accumulator. Affluent is a kind of homogeneous. And these are the different percentages of the total population they are into. Now let's try to understand why they are called aspirers, pragmatic, affluent. Before coming there, this is what these slides represent. How these segments, what kind of product categories they consume. This is nothing but a simple mapping, no big deal. But I am saying no big deal. I would suggest though mathematically it's no big deal. This doesn't require any thought process or power. But you should try your hand. It's very important. Otherwise you'll become a kind of armchair critic. You'll understand everything theoretically, but please put your fingers. Play with the data. There is no dearth of data sets. Go to the Kaggle websites. If you don't know Kaggle, you should explore Kaggle today itself. A lot of machine learning challenges are there. A lot of data sets are there. You can download the data, the business problem been given. Lots of folks are there who are writing their comments, what kind of algorithms they're using, read them. Of course, if you want to be a kind of analytics professional, then only, otherwise not required. And if you want to be an analytics professional, you should and you must have a kind of your GitHub account where all your codes you will stack, because through the interview process, the interviewer may ask that besides, because people generally send the LinkedIn profile, but besides the LinkedIn, show me your GitHub, what kind of codes you have developed, what kind of projects you accomplished. Projects doesn't mean only the PPT, right? So start thinking in that line. It's not possible to develop everything overnight, but take the baby steps. Again, another very important concept. This concept I discussed in my previous class, that the end user are not interested, simply not interested about what algorithms you are applying at the back end, as long as your results are good. So what they're interested, you should have beautiful seamless dashboards, visualizations. So ladies and gentlemen, even if I have done the entire work on SAS, I connected Tableau in the front end. So the SAS results, the output of SAS gets displayed through Tableau. And these dashboards that you are seeing, I've taken the screenshots from Tableau. This is not from SAS, of course not from Excel or any other SPSS website, SPSS software or SAS software. These are all from Tableau. So I discussed yesterday, please make your, not that Tableau is the only one. There are a number of other BI software, dashboard visualization tools. Go through them. These are very easy to learn, and choose the one that you feel suits you the best. For me, I'm a big fan of Tableau because it's easy to use. It's very intuitive. You can understand very easily. It speaks by itself. It also does a lot of things, even some part of analytics, machine learning, or some very basics, of course. But it does. So I'm a big fan. But then you are free to choose yours. Like, yeah, Power BI, you can choose. Microsoft has got the Power BI or whatever that suits you, ClickView, whatever that suits you. Now, I told this, I gave the name this segment, that there's a story that why I've named them Aspire, Pragmatic, Affluent. So let's understand, because these names I have given after studying the cluster characteristics. Names I'm not given out of my poetic imagination. So why I've given the name Aspirers, why name Pragmatic, why Affluent? Let's understand. So Aspire segment is home to the youngest customers with the lowest income. Who is it? Let's check. Youngest. Oh, yes. Age is 28.5. Aspire segment, you can see this is the three segments, that is the different variables. And what I have done, across these variables, how these three segments are performing. That's exactly what I have done in these two dashboards. If you have any problem in understanding this story, feel free to stop me. Not that you have to stop me only when I'm asking you the questions. It can be the other way around also. You can also make me stop and ask me the questions. I shall be glad to answer. Okay. So Aspire segment is home to the youngest customers with the lowest income. So this is the youngest group. Let's look at the income. Yes, this is the lowest among the three. This is the lowest. Active in their finances and comfortable making tough financial decisions, as shown with the high interest rate. So in the country that I was working, they have got this. We can't even think of paying an interest rate of 75.17%. For us, even 18%, 20%, even 30% is a big deal. But yeah, now this segment are taking tough financial decisions, paying an interest rate of 75.17%. And that's why I named them Aspirer. Why Aspirer? Because they want to aspire something, and not that they're taking some kind of valuable purchases. So maybe some iPhones or kind of electronic gadgets, whatever is a kind of fancy for them. They're ready to shell out a big amount of money as interest rate and purchase that. Whereas the next segment is pragmatic segment, comprises the oldest group of customers. You look at the age, the oldest 40.27. Low interest rate and below average tenure. So low interest rate, yeah, you can see the low 43.5. Among the three, this is the lowest. And below average tenure. Let's look at tenure. Yeah. The pragmatic is the below average. If you look at the average, is the below average tenure. Show a thought through approach to financing. The affluent segment has the highest income consuming the highest amount of loan. So affluent is the highest income. If you look here, the highest income and the highest amount of loan with the highest tenure. Amount of loan you can see here. Yeah, loan amount is the highest amount of loan you can see here. And with the longest tenure. So that's how you know why I'm showing you this thing. First of all, from the cluster characteristics, you have to build a story out of it. That is about data storytelling. You must have heard this word. Even if you have not heard previously, please hear it and internalize the word, not memorize. Internalize the philosophy, data storytelling. No customer is interested to learn or to see or to go through all your intellectual exercise. I know deep learning. I have done long short-term memory. I have done bidirectional long short-term memory. I have done stacked LSTM. Very nice, you have done all those things. But tell me, in the Asan Bhasha mein kaho, tell me in very simple language what it is all about. So if you can tell it in very simple language without any mention of all the k-means cluster analysis or whatever algorithm you want to use, customers will be so happy. And now again, a very important aspect I would like to say that, as I have shown to you, that all variables were not quantitative in nature. So there were some variables that were kind of qualitative, that were categorical. So in occupation, you can see that there are categories like self-employed, blue collar, student, white collar. In the marital status, married, single, these are not this we couldn't convert to, or these are not possible rather to convert into quantitative. These are qualitative. So what we have done is that after we create the cluster, we try to map in the sense that in this aspired segment, how these four categories are distributed. In the pragmatic segment, how these four categories are distributed. Similarly, in the aspired segment, how these two categories are distributed. So that's how the mapping being done. Now I'm not going into each of them because this is not important for you. No, not important for you to understand what is the story inside. But the very concept of data storytelling is important to you. The very concept of using a dashboard to create or to present the complex algorithms is important to you. You cannot just present a Python code, R code, SPSS code, SAS code to a customer. So how to present, how to tell a story, that's important to you. Now, I shall come to another important part. Now something, very interesting thing happened. So after, 3 months or 4 months, 3.5 months, I think, yeah, we did this project. Once we presented this report to the CEO, then the CEO gave us a new challenge. He said they're very nice to him, done a wonderful job. But this wonderful exercise is for my existing customers, right? How can I segment my new customer? Now, please tell me by thinking, what is the greatest challenge of segmenting new customers? What is the greatest challenge? What is the greatest challenge of segmenting new customers? Please tell me, I'm asking some very simple question. What is the greatest challenge?
Sir, like don't have enough knowledge about
Your name first. Your name first.
Reshma, sir.
Reshma, yeah, go ahead.
We don't have enough information about the new customers and their needs and
You are
their
partly
patterns.
correct. You are partly correct. We can always float a KYC for a new customer, whosoever new customers come, and have those, demographic information. What is that age, income, geographic location, occupation?
Okay.
Think through it. Think through it. KYC is meant for that, right? Know your customers. Forms are meant for that. But you are on the right direction. I won't say your direction was incorrect. Your direction was not incorrect. But take a few more steps in that direction.
Sir, Akriti.
Name? Yeah. Okay.
So maybe we have a very broad pool of customers and we already have our existing customers, so we need to look out for customers those are different from that category that we already have and then segment them.
That is not correct. That is not correct because in that country, all the different segments possible has been categorized.
Right.
So the new customer has to fall into one of those buckets for sure. That possibility, even if it exists, the possibility is very small, and that can be treated also. That's not a major challenge. What is the major? Yeah, name?
Sir, sure. Sir, new customer doesn't always give the right information, the quality data.
Oh, to koi nahi deta hai. Be it old or new. That's why I mentioned something. I've not, in the interest of time, not discussed this part. I mentioned this real income. So everybody, to get a loan, everybody will try to inflate the income for sure. So that is what, we have got 5 income columns in dataset. What is 5? I can't remember all the 5, but a few things I remember. One is what the customer said. One is what the agents, who are in the market, because they will also get the commissions, right, by selling the loans. So agents will also try to inflate the income so that the customers can get the loan. That is another income. One which we got from their bank accounts. That is another income. So in that way, there are almost 5 columns. So we have developed a complex formula. How can I come to a real income? So that's another story altogether. That itself was a project. Anyway, what is the greatest challenge for new customers? Let me tell you again, for the interest of time, we have got only 20 minutes left. The greatest challenge is that the new customers might have, through KYC, I might have the demographic data. Demographic means all your geographic, academic, whatever, all those data. But I can never have transactional variables, right? And you remember, here, most of these variables are transactional, like EMIs, interest rate, average interest, loan amount. I can't simply have, because new customer have not transacted with the bank. So this entire piece, all this transactional data will be simply striked off. So yeah, I think Reshma was the lady who answered first. Yes, you are partially correct. But the challenge was not with challenges with the data. That's why you went correct. But challenge is not with the demographic data that I can always take from the KYC. Any new customer come, they will just fill in a tab. Yes, my age is this much, education is this much, number of children is this, what expense is this much, and that this much. That I can get in a second or in a minute, if not a second. But then this part is completely absent. But yeah, not that a CEO doesn't know this challenge. He knew this challenge, but then all the problems come with data scientists, and that's why that's the source of all our income, bread and butter. Because if the challenges are not there, if that is so straightforward, they won't come to data scientists. Even the business analysts in the organization can do. So what we do, we did something very interesting to solve this. And again, there is a reason I'm showing to you, not to showcase you what all projects I have done, but to showcase you how you can handle such problems creatively. And again, same part, your power of thinking, that matters the most. So what we did, all these 1, 2, 3, you remember, I have got 3 macro clusters, and each of the macro has got micro clusters. So I have got total how many clusters? 3 plus 2 plus 1, 6 clusters. So these 6 clusters, 3 plus 2, 5 plus 1, 6, these 6 clusters becomes the levels of your decision tree. That means within the dependent variable, if the dependent variable is categorical in nature, say think of the churn analytics. Instead of 2 churn and not churn, if I just make it 6, right, I can create 6 categories instead of 2 categories. Instead of churn, not churn, I can create 6 categories like disparate, mature, successful, wise, accumulator, homogeneous segment, or affluent. Simple. And then if I take what? Only the demographic variables that I have for the new customers. The way I have shown you here, for churn, I have created the group membership. Instead of logistic, I took the decision tree because that's a relatively better tool given the context. But that's possible, right? That's how it is. That's how we can make it possible. So, what you have learned here, I hope you have understood. Tell me. First of all, you tell me. Have you understood what I said? Yes, no.
Yes, sir. Till now we understood.
All of you understood, right? What the magic we created. It's kind of magic actually.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, what you learned, another very important thing. What you learned is that how to plug in the output of the first technique as an input variable to your second technique. Are you clear? That's a very important concept. Again, you can do it anywhere in your projects, and people will really appreciate you. They will really bow down. Yeah, and these guys are not just kind of coders. They will simply come and code and go away. So all these were the results of what? Result of cluster analysis. Now what I have done, I have considered them as a kind of input variable for my decision tree. Input variable not in terms of independent variables, but it's the levels of dependent variable. And I have got income, age, and all these variables, income, age, work experience, children, occupation, years, they all become my independent variables. Now I can create some precise rules from my decision tree. What kind of rules? If income is between say 2 million to 5.12 million and age is between 27 to 31, then the probability, of course, these are all indicative as I mentioned, I have not given the exact rules in PPT. The probability of a customer who is into this particular segment or this kind of income bracket and age bracket will be into disparate segment, say 0.92. Similarly, I'm slowly changing it from 5.12 to 277 to 5,120,000 to 278. So person into this next age bracket and another age group, in next income bracket and another age group will become in the mature. So in that way, with a decent amount of probability, you can predict that in which particular segment a new customer can belong to. Yeah, question, please.
Akshay here, sir.
Akshay, please.
Yeah. Why do we segment them as desperate, mature, and successful, sir? On what basis?
Have you joined later, or you were there from the beginning?
Yes, I was there. Just this thing. Why are they called desperate? That is my question.
I think I discussed the logic with one example. I discussed the logic about aspirer, pragmatic, affluent. Why somebody is called aspirer? Why somebody is called pragmatic? Why somebody is called affluent? The same logic will be carried forward while doing the nomenclature of these clusters. Let me show you to answer your question another example. Same, your answer only I shall give with the disparate part. Now look here. So who are disparate, mature, successful? They are the 3 microclusters of the macro cluster aspirers, right? Now this group has the highest interest rate and lowest incomes among the aspirers. We look here. So within that also we broke it down. So aspirers, if you remember, if I come here, aspirers have an interest rate of what? 75.17, right? Now, if you come here, you will see that within the aspirer, when I am breaking them, I'm getting 3 clear clusters. Out of that, one segment is paying 85% interest. Can you imagine? Shouldn't I call them desperate? They're desperate to purchase, desperate to take the loans. So that's why you're getting me. That's why they are called as disparate. This group
Yes.
has the highest, yeah, and the lowest income amongst aspirants. Whereas if you look at the income part, yeah, has got the lowest income and paying the highest 85%. They're disparate. And interest amount paid by the successful segment is 3.6 and 4 times higher than the other micro segments. If you look the interest amount, look, and they're successful. They're pretty successful. Look at the kind of income. Look at the kind of interest amount they're paying. Yeah. So that's why, as I mentioned, we don't name the clusters out of your poetic imagination. We at first develop the clusters and see how the input variables are distributed among the clusters, and then study the profiles. Actually, it's a kind of very minute exercise. A team studied, they brainstorm, they whiteboard. Acha, this particular segment is this the income, this interest rate. Why they're paying this much of interest rate despite their income is low? We all study this kind of consumer behavior questions, and then we name them. Oh, they're disparate. They're just disparate. Am I clear with your answer? Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir, understood.
I think that was the background noise. Okay, no worries. So with that, let me close this use case. I've got precisely 9 minutes left. I cannot show you the hands-on exercise, maybe hands-on exercise of this cluster, and I shall park it for tomorrow. Tomorrow I shall start with that first and then I shall come. But before that, let me quickly discuss something very critical. The critical part is that analytics come into two ways. One is the service, another is the product or platform. What is a service? Analytics consultancy as a service. So the example that I gave to you, I went to the bank for 3 months, they hired me to do a particular project. That's a kind of service, right? I gave a kind of consultancy service, analytics consultancy service. But analytics can also be provided through a platform service or I shouldn't use the word service then, rather through a platform or a product. So what does that mean? That means that a platform has already been created where the inputs will come and the outputs will go away. And I shall quickly walk you through a segmentation platform, because segmentation service I have already walked you through. Let me walk you through a segmentation platform. And there are multiple types of segmentation. Please remember, segmentation does not mean customer segmentation only in the way I have shown. Custom segmentation can be done in multiple ways. I shall be a bit fast. This is no rocket science, but get yourself exposed. So a segment can be the dynamic customer segmentation. Again, a very important word is dynamic. A very important word. Customer segmentation in today's world cannot be a static one. Because if you are doing it for 3 months, I did it some 5 years back, but I don't do it in that way now. Because if I come back after 3 months, the entire segmentation will change after 3 months. So that's a futile exercise. It has to be dynamic. It has to be real time. Another very important one. Not only dynamic, it is real time. Constantly, you will just play button and the new segmentation will come up. And very interesting segments can come up, like people signed up from landing page can be a segment. People bought once, people spent over 100. People not opened email marketing can also be a segment, right? So you have to be think again creatively that what could be my different segments and how I can treat them. So people not open email marketing, how we should treat them. So can I exercise some other distribution channels for them, telephone or something else in person? If you think that. Source segmentation possible, right? How I can segment the customer based on my source, like VIP customers signed up a promo page, not bought in last 300 days, people that have bought twice. By the way, how this is in sync with my product platform concept. Remember, here I'm showing you the dashboards. These are actually the screenshots. What I'm showing you are the screenshots of a leading platform in segmentation part. Platform means what? This platform has got capability. They will just plug in with your e-commerce platform, e-commerce websites. They will take the input data and is capable to give you the output in the way you want. So that's the concept of a platform or a product. So these are the different, you can delete the segment, you can purge, you can create a second campaign for this segment. All this, flexibility this kind of platforms give. Tag the context in this segment, the audience that meets your criteria of the segment you have created. Click on email to see the individual record. You can do those things. That's what a kind of platform visibility that the kind of visibility the platform gives. Then comes the product segmentation, like the product purchased. The name brought an indoor plant. So what kind of product purchased will help you to understand who bought specific products or categories when they bought them. Then you have got the marketing event segmentation possible, right? All the marketing event data that is collected whenever you send an email for a marketing campaign that is made available to your segments. You can create like event across all campaigns, have performed an action in the last 9 days, 10 days, or between 2 days. Have they performed any action? You can even create a kind of marketing event segmentation. You can also create the retention segmentation, right? Without purchases, purchase criteria, or the date criteria, like in the last, 3 days, 5 days, 1 month, like that. So that's another segmentation criteria or retention segment you can create. New repeat customer segment you can create will help you to identify your customer based on the recency and frequency of their spending behavior. You can create those kind of segment. You can create the customer lifetime value segment, which again I discussed in last class, like how to calculate the CLV. You can create segment out of that greater than say £100 or $1,000, like that. You can always create the segments. You can create segments the way you want, like bought lights but not plants, and then you can click here light, and then you can click like sign from promo page, or bought Fox indoor plant fern, or bought once plus 500. You can just click it and the segment will be created. That's the power of a platform. Or the negative segments you can create. Like positive, the same things. You can just create that, yes, indoor plant customers, and that what they have not purchased, people that have spent for that tea more than one purchase. You can create those kind of segments. You can create profile and time-based segmentation in the past. In the future, what kind of segments you can see from the past data. That's also possible. There can be people segment, like create a freestyle segment based on the profile information of your audience, the transactions, the email events. So the idea here is that how you can create multiple segments through the platforms. So ladies and gentlemen, the important takeaway here is that besides selling analytics as a service, you should and you must think, I think for the first time you are hearing how analytics can be productized. So start thinking how artificial intelligence, how analytics can be productized, and how the products and the platforms can be sold for all the stuff that you are seeing as service. And internet is flooded with examples. There are a lot of products and platforms. Even this class notes are being taken by Firefly.ai. I think Tushar is using that. That's a kind of product, right? It's not a kind of service. Of course, even the products you can consume as a service. Suppose the products are there and they are being stacked in the cloud. You can use the product as software as service model. That's fine. But at the end of the day, it is a kind of software only. You are consuming the product as a kind of service in a SaaS model. So have some kind of generate or increase the breadth of this knowledge, and you will enjoy. That's the beauty. You will enjoy this kind of knowledge, because industry speaks in these terms. Industry speak in this language. For every profession, the jargons are very important. Like a doctor speak in their language, the journalists speak in their language, engineers speak in their language. Similarly, we analytics professionals also use our own jargons. So once you increase this kind of breadth, you'll also understand these jargons. You can speak with these jargons. Your knowledge base will increase. You'll be involved into this community. So with that note, let me end today's class. Do you have any question before I end? If not, I wish you all the best. It's 1:15. Tomorrow we are going to do the hands-on of this segmentation. We will do target marketing, we will do recommendation engine, and that's how we will cover the customer acquisition. All the best. Feel free to drop me a mail if you have any questions. Bye-bye. Have a
Thank you.
good day.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.